Gears of War 4 is the first game from developer The Coalition, and the campaign itself does a great job of taking the best elements of Gears of War 1, 2 and 3 and sort of freshening them up a bit and iterating upon them, but then and also knowing when to mix things up. The only downside to the campaign is actually in its opening hour or two, where you are left in sort of tedious battles against an enemy that feel quite bullet spongy due to the fact of the weapons at your disposal, as well as the lack of ammo. Like, a lot of time you will be running out of ammo and it just feels a bit, it doesn't feel very exciting, and that's unfortunate because once the game and what it feels like the sort of the studio gets sort of confident with it, it really starts to become really good. And you have moments where you're in small locations where it feels quite claustrophobic and the horror element of the original Gears of War is present, but then you also build up to sort of bigger arena type battles which are reminiscent of the later games, as well as some massive large scale moments that do a brilliant job of ramping things up. And as I said, Gears of War 4 is the start of a new franchise, well, saga essentially. So you have a new enemy called the Swarm, which in the beginning feel that like they will be quite different to the Locust, but you will soon get a bit more sort of deja vu by some of the enemies you're facing. That's not a bad thing because the Locusts themselves are so enjoyable to face against that it was quite sad to think that they won't be there in any form in Gears of War 4. But beside that, the campaign, the story itself is, once again, it takes a little bit to get started, but once it does and it starts to sort of move in a new direction, it's quite interesting, and the ending itself definitely makes things quite intriguing for what's left for the future of the stories of Gears of War 5 and 6 or whatever comes after. But that's not the only part of Gears of War. There's a cooperative and competitive multiplayer to Gears of War 4, and both are absolutely incredible. So while the story may last about 6 hours and is enjoyable, that really is only a starting point for your time with Gears of War. Horde 3.0 returns, and it is better than it's ever been. No longer are you picking set parts on the map to become your base of defense, and instead you have a thing called a fabricator. And this fabricator essentially helps you build fortifications as well as weapons depending on your class. So you're no longer just picking a skin. There are specific classes with specific roles, and in the beginning that sort of, I kind of felt like I didn't want to fall into a role, but at the same time it sort of allows for a better dynamic of the gameplay, that you're not just holding up in a corner all shooting lancers and no specialties between you. It's sort of got to work as a team, and that's sort of the best way to win, and it feels less cheap because of it. And I think it was a natural evolution from Horde 2.0 to 3.0, and it is definitely one of the modes I will definitely be sinking dozens of hours into, as well as competitive mode. They've done a great job of taking those elements that will remind you of Gears of War and the best of them as well, and sort of iterate upon them. There's modes like Dodgeball, which is probably the fastest sort of but funnest mode maybe there, where if you kill an enemy they're gone, but if one of your teammates are dead and then you kill an enemy, your player comes back. So it's that back and forth bounce that can really change the tide of battle in just a minute or two, and it is so much fun. There's also Arms Race, which allows you to sort of, each team's got to get 3 kills with a weapon, and it starts with the best weapons like boom shots, and then you've got to get it all the way down to the bolted pistol to finish the game. And on top of that, you have your standard deathmatch and Warzone, and it all runs really well, it all plays really well, and I never had any technical issues. The game is also part of the Xbox Play Anywhere program, where you get it on Xbox One and PC, and playing on PC was it was surprisingly good. The campaign is locked at 30 frames a second on Xbox One, while the multiplayer is on 60 frames a second, where in the PC it is 60 frames a second across the board, and it looks incredible. I didn't have a problem on my system running at 1080p 60 frames a second, both in multiplayer and in campaign, and overall it is the best of returns that the Coalition could have created for Gears of War, and I think it's safe to say that the Gears of War series is back with a massive boom shot like bang.